the other thing that I find extraordinary here is what other stuff is being hidden from us that we are not allowed to know. If this is prosaic, as Dave was saying, and there's nothing to watch here, and Ben, who seems to be running sort of um, some sort of text campaign on behalf of the Ministry of Health, if this wasn't a problem, you still haven't answered the question. Why are you hiding it? Why are you citing national security with elected government officials as to why you can't tell them information? Okay? Why are you looking for a remote place? And why, if you were looking for a remote place, Ashley Bloomfield, did you choose the farmland of Manawatu, which unsurprisingly is in actual fact surrounded by farms and people? It wasn't iwi that blew the note. I mean, iwi have joined the particular clamour here as to saying this is wrong, but it was in actual fact the people living around that facility, most of whom were Pākehā, farmers, conservatives, national voters, ACT voters, for God's sake, possibly the occasional New Zealand First voter. Anyhow, it was them that raised the alarm and said, we're not happy. Why are you not telling us? And if you're not telling us, what's the problem you're trying to solve that you can't trust us with? I find it extraordinary. I find it extraordinary. And I'll tell you what, Tom's right about something else. When those words Ashley Bloomfield come up, so he rings secretly, the Mayor of Manawatu secretly, during COVID secretly, tells her, I've got a secret, and then just so, it's got, and you can't share this with anybody else because it's a national security issue. What? Sorry, how is it a national security issue? There's the question. How can it possibly be? If it's as prosaic and as safe, and it's just, it's nothing special, it's just come out of a few of the radioactive or out of X-ray machines or wherever the radioactive waste comes out of the health facility, although it's not just, as I said, they aren't the only people running mini nuclear reactors in New Zealand. That's used in an amount of science research and in universities as well, so that also creates radioactive waste. One assumes it's all going to the same place, and the Ministry of Health just have the quantum, or the largest quantum of it, so that's why they're involved here. But how does that become a national security issue? And the answer is, we don't want a fuss, all right? We don't want a fuss. We don't want to alert people to what we're doing because they'll overreact. They'll make a storm in a teacup of it. Welcome to democracy, people. Welcome to democracy. People are entitled to make a fuss. They're entitled to get upset. The greenie activists are entitled to wave their placards or stamp their little feet. It's called freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of information. It's how a mature, functioning democracy works. If you start, and this is the key issue here. If you start making the decisions a series of non-elected bureaucrats, aided and abetted in secret by a former Labour Minister of Defence, if you seem to make a whole series of decisions in which you're now going to hide information, at what point does the process stop? At what point do bureaucrats say, we'll deem that this is a national security issue? We'll deem whether or not the public should know. And I would have thought that the Ministry of Health had enough problems just at the moment with actually encouraging a lack of public trust in them, their information and their institution, than of adding to it. But mind you, to be fair, they made this decision at the same time that they were bullshitting New Zealand about how all this was going to save people from dying and this country from some form of Armageddon and plague of zombies trooping through the countryside, presumably all heading to the Manawatu. Anyhow, and again, the Mayor of Manawatu, I thought, rather pointed it out to us. She said, well, if you are looking for a remote site, how come you chose us? Yes, I'd be taking that as well. All right. Paul says it sounds like the Pfizer agreement. Yes, well, listen, off you go. Can I say to Voices for Freedom, this is where I be, this is where I be. What other information is being hidden from us by bureaucrats who think we're not mature enough, educated enough, intelligent enough to know. And that is the great thing out of here. Listen, I personally don't believe that there's going to be a mini nuclear reaction or explosion or a 3 Mile Island happening in the Manawatu countryside. I don't believe that for a moment. But I will say, the way in which this is being conducted makes me fearful of any form of honesty coming from our elected, not our elected, but our non-elected bureaucrats. And I would have thought that was one of the lessons of COVID. Be open, be honest, and then you might get people to trust you. This doesn't help.